Hello, I'm Judith Green from Somerset Libraries. I'm going out for a walk around the lanes and I thought you might like to have a look and see what flowers you might find on the way. I expect you'll know quite a few of them, but perhaps you'll find some that you haven't seen before, didn't know the name of, or a little snippet of information about them that might make it more interesting. So let's just have a walk along. You can see down here there's lots of this frothy white flower. This is called Chervil. It's one of the earliest of the carrot family that flowers in the verges. Can you see down there? The stem swells as it goes upwards. That's very characteristic of Chervil. And it has these beautiful white fluffy flowers. As we go further along, here's a nice stand of red campions. There is a white variety that you get beside fields, but this is the one that you're most likely to find beside the road. They make a lovely picture along the side of the verge. Walking a little further along here, we come to a slightly shady patch, and this group here, this is called wild garlic. You see it has these lovely white flowers, but if you break the leaves off, they smell very, very strongly of garlic, so it's called wild garlic, or ramson sometimes. It is edible. You can chop up the leaves and put them in a green salad, or put them in a stuffing. They're very nice to eat. Often you get very solid banks of them like this. You'll either get these, or you'll get dog's mercury, or you'll get bluebells. A bit of a mixture, but one of them usually dominates substantially. If you look over here, I'm sure you know this one. If the garden centres potted them up and sold them, I'm sure people would pay £5 a pot for them if they didn't know what they were. It's a dandelion. But did you know that if you can say dandelion, you can speak French? Because the old French word for these is dandelion, which is lion's teeth. And you can see all those teeth along the sides of the leaves. And just a little further along, we have all sorts of things coming up. This pretty little plant's one of the early flowering hedgerow plants. It's called stitchwort. And just below it, these tiny pink flowers, they're part of the family called herb Robert, and you can see the leaves are shiny, and it's called shining herbs Robert. Just over here, in amongst nettles, of which more in a moment. This is called yellow archangel, which has very beautiful flowers when you look carefully. It looks like a nettle, but it isn't, so it doesn't sting. Very typical of hedgerows. And stinging nettles, I'm sure you all know those. Good food for the butterflies, but be careful, otherwise you'll get stung. And we'll look out in a moment for a little remedy for nettle stings. Apparently boiled stinging nettles are supposed to be very good for rheumatism, but I think I'll let the rheumatism get a bit worse first. Makes a very funny smell when you boil nettles. And here's their companion plant. This is a lovely big dock plant. If you pick a piece of dock and rub it onto a nettle sting hard till the juice goes green on your sting, then it won't sting so much. I'm never sure whether that's because the rubbing spreads the poison out, or if it's actually the contents of the dock, but it does make you feel better, so give it a try. Just along here is a very nice stand of something that you might think was a nettle at first sight. It's actually called dead nettle, and I'm going to be brave and touch it. Yes, it definitely is. You might have just heard a bee fly off there as well. Bees are very fond of these flowers. But I won't touch the nettle, which is just next to it, because that will sting. And we're going up into a shadier part of the lanes now. You'll see here, you've got a little plant going very upright. It's called cleavers, or goose grass. And if you touch the sides of the leaves, it's got little tiny hooks on, and it uses those to hook onto other strands of growth or through the hedges and so on, It'll go maybe 4 foot high or so, going up the hedges. So it's also called hedge bedstraw. And it has little tiny white flowers on top, quite out here. And you can also see here, there's a lot of ferns of various sorts. I'll show you this one. This is called Hart's Tongue. Hart's a very old name for a deer. And you can see the leaves look just like a tongue sticking out, curled at the end. Beautiful glossy green new leaves. This plant here, you might not believe it's related to cabbages. It's called garlic mustard, and it has lovely heart-shaped structural leaves and these little white flowers on the top. If you break a corner off the leaf and sniff it, it does smell a bit garlicky and mustardy. It's also called Jack by the hedge. This plant up here, it's a very early flowering plant of hedgerows and woodlands. It's called Dog's Mercury. I don't know why it's called Dog's Mercury. If you know, I'd be very interested in hearing, so let me know. Lots of different ferns and deep woodland plants. Walking up the lane here, it's a little bit noisier because it's May, the sun's shining, so we have tractors and foragers out. But they're at the end of the field at the moment, so I'll try. This is a lovely bank of wild garlic, and you'll see in a moment it transforms into a beautiful stand of bluebells. Bluebells used to be called Endymion, it's their first Latin name. And Endymion was a character in Greek mythology who was very beautiful, so I think it's a very appropriate name for this lovely, lovely flower. You'll see there's a lovely mixture of ferns and bluebells as you go along here. And then on up the lane. Now we're nearly out of range of the forager. Still going down a nice sunny lane. Here's something you'll be interested to see, you might recognise it already. These are strawberries, wild strawberries. A little later on, when the flowers are set, you'll get little tiny strawberries, but you'll have to pick an awful lot to make a mouthful, but they taste very good. And just above them, here, you've got a nice patch of Germander speedwell, which are very pretty. These, like strawberries, you get on dry banks and dry places. They have these beautiful blue flowers. And just above them again is another kind of bedstraw. This is called smooth bedstraw. And if you see the ends of the leaves are rounded, the stems are still square, but the leaves are quite smooth, unlike cleavers, which are very hooky and sticky. I'm walking down this lovely shady lane. You've got some remnants of the earlier spring flowers. So just down here, you've got the very last primrose that I know of. You see the primrose leaves there. When you look around, you'll see a lot of primrose leaves even after the flowers have gone. Very pretty dappled sunlight. Over here we've got another woodland plant. This is called Lords and Ladies, cuckoo pint. It has these long arrow-shaped leaves which are sometimes spotty. This hood covers the inside of the flower, and the inside of the flower gets hot once it's flowering, and that attracts the flies in, which then pollinate the flower down inside. Then in the autumn you get these things that look like red hot pokers. You get a stick all covered in bright red berries about 1/4 inch in diameter. Reaching the end of our walk now, I'm just walking down the end of this shady lane, and you can see there's a mass of little white starlight flowers. These are related to the bedstraws. It's another bedstraw, and it's called Sweetwood Sweetwood. You see it has that typical collar of leaves, but they're smooth and the flowers are quite large and pretty, whereas the flowers on the other two that we've looked at are very inconsequential. You can see there's a few strawberries just peeking through there as well. And as we come round the corner into the sunshine, we come round onto some verge land where Highways kindly leaves a pile of grit most years. So this is quite disturbed ground. We have here this lovely hawkbeard. You can see all the way along there. Beautiful yellow flowers which the bees are very fond of. And the leaves are lobed and toothed. Often reddish stem towards the top. Very pretty verge side flower. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this walk. If you've got any comments or stories or photos to share, do please put them on the Somerset Libraries Wells Facebook page. We'd be delighted to hear from you. Bye.